There are big changes happening in the governance landscape that require us to move from a compliance role to a strategic infrastructure leader. And under that umbrella, I would give you a case that you can read, and I will provide some color. 2 years ago, a global company woke up compliant, profitable, and well governed. By the end of the week, it had lost access to a key market, frozen assets in two countries, and a board split over a decision it was even allowed to take. Nothing illegal happened, nothing unethical happened, but governance failed. So it is in the context of going beyond ethics and going beyond compliance that we as an ecosystem need to move from organizations designed for stability to organizations designed for disruption in technology and especially in geopolitics. Governance is no longer, and I will say only, about rules and about regulation. It's about resilience, legitimacy, and strategic control. Boards move from oversight body to decision enablement engines. The old model was built for stable waters, while the new reality is much more volatile, fragmented, and politicized. And I will stop here for a second and explore an example from my business practice day to day. I work in my executive roles in technology field, and the technology field has been disrupted end to end with the split, the thorn in global economy between China and essentially the rest of the world. What was software that yesterday could be developed in one region and deployed globally is no longer the case. There are new regulations that need to be implemented, and the assurance that rules are complied with and change from one day to the next. None of us would believe that one day oil prices were around in the 80s and became over 100 2 weeks after. So, in that context, governance is also about, I'll call it surfing the wave of disruption, giving you a little bit of view of where we come from. In the 90s, our corporate governance requirements revolved around insurance of adherence to policies and regulations. It moved into risk management significantly more after the 2008 crisis. In the 2020s, we saw the emergence of ESG. And today, we see geopolitical changes as part of governance. So, for example, risk committees become extremely important. Sustainability committees that were extremely important 2 years ago become today a little bit less relevant. So there is a shock, a convergence shock happening. Geopolitical shifts, emergence of technology like AI, regulation shifts. I just spoke about the regulation change between North America and the rest of the world, capital market volatilities, and trust deficit. We can't forget that a lot of what has been changed for us is the notion of safety and trust. So every strategic decision, every strategic plan is now a governance decision. When executive teams change their business plans and their strategic plans, we as board members need to be very tuned in into what is required. So, what has fundamentally changed in the ecosystem that has implications at board levels? Shareholder primacy moved to poly stakeholder reality. So, you don't only have shareholders, you have capital markets, regulators, associates, governments, customers, ecosystems. We now have a very, very diversified and complex shareholder matrix. Boards arbitrate conflicting legitimacies. We just heard about ethics and about learning in the session before. We need to permanently arbitrate between different understandings of ethics from different stakeholders in the ecosystem. In the past, we had a cyclical risk management. Currently, we have permanent uncertainty. There is nothing more certain today that tomorrow may look very different. Continuous crisis, not exceptional crisis, crisis piling up on crisis, decision making under radical uncertainty. So, as board members, our base needs to be very clear because we are asked to decide and to supervise in very uncertainty situations. We moved from pure transparency to strategic disclosure. What you disclose can reshape valuation of companies when you disclose, can also impact regulation or even geopolitics. If you think about large technology providers, how they disclose their technology and when can have real impact in the economy on the next day. So governance is a narrative of control. What are the board implications? So we need to become nimbler, even nimbler, faster in escalation, fewer decisions, but deeper decisions with structural impact, explicit ownership of non financial risks like communication risks, credibility risks. So governance has changed significantly. If we move to the next slide. So, as I was saying before, geopolitics enters the boardroom. I am part of a couple of boards where we consistently discuss, regularly discuss all the different geopolitical changes and shifts that we see. Boards now govern across power blocks. There are boards with people from very different backgrounds that had to be changed. There is US and China decoupling, Europe as a regulatory superpower. I'm not sure I always agree with the hyper regulation, but we have to comply. And middle powers asserting themselves. Corporate exposure is political by default. We have supply chains that have been globalized in the last 25 years. So there is connections that we don't see in the day to day that in a political crisis or political change have a significant impact. Data and AI, energy, critical minerals. We all hear a lot about minerals and the fact that there is essentially an underwater rush to have access to these critical minerals and dual use technologies. Can we use a technology that comes from automotive in a defense application? Is that consistent with the corporate values and corporate priorities? And then governance failures are now geopolitical failures. There are risks of sanctions, export control complexities increase, forced exits or asset write downs. I remember, for example, having to leave, being in an environment where the company had to decide to leave Russia at a certain time, and reputational state capture. So, understanding geopolitics, learning about geopolitics, it's not an external content. It is embedded in strategy, capital allocation, technology, and surely compliance. So, if there is one area that I would urge everyone to focus on, is to understand the complexities and to the extent in which geopolitics impacts the economies we operate in. So, board directors have to change. Time has passed where we had more static, oftentimes professionals that had left the workforce for more than 20 years. The new director has to have knowledge in AI and digital governance, needs to be literate in geopolitics, like I discussed further, understanding capital markets and regulation, crisis leadership, and ethics under pressure. Limits of traditional board experience has been, how do we move on from I was a CEO, so now I can govern, and recognize and stop recognizing patterns. Governance is becoming a profession. So the course you are in, the group you are interacting with today didn't exist in the form that you have 20 years ago. So governance is a professional, it's a lifelong learning experience, and certification is signal of credibility and track record. So if we move to the next slide. So governance certification in this great reset goes from being a nice to have to credibility of the companies that operate in the ecosystem. It's a strategic signal. Governance certification becomes a trust signpost to investors, regulators, society in general, including the workforce. Modern certifications, like you see, they don't stop. So the current sessions you are taking are just a goalpost in a lifelong learning experience. You need to understand decision-making dynamics, data governance, sustainability oversight, again, sanctions, ethics, and crisis governance. And why boards and companies care? Because it reduces liability, obviously, strengthens credibility of the company and the board itself, and professionalizes the governance culture. Creates a shared language. If you all adhere to the same policies and to the same practices, it's much easier afterwards to share decision making and supervision making process. So if we move to the next slide, governance is a strategic advantage. It's not pure control, it's a capability. And the best governed companies, they will decide faster, they absorb shocks and crises better, they retain trust longer, and governance excellence will separate those that merely survive from those who thrive and shape the future. In a nutshell, if you move to the last slide, in 10 years, we won't ask who had the best strategy. We will ask who had the best governance when it mattered the most. And with that, I will hand back to the team on stage.